This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook at audiblepodcast.com/TYT. Go.
Speaking of Romney, he's on with Larry Kudlow, and Kudlow's going to challenge him on the health care bill that he passed in Massachusetts, which of course is very similar to the one passed by President Obama. And let's see what kind of backpedal he's got for us. Let's watch.
Everybody talks about RomneyCare and ObamaCare, as you know. In fact, I guess today there's birthday parties going up among Democrats for the anniversary of RomneyCare back in 2006. Governor Pawlenty on this show and elsewhere has said his support of cap and trade years ago was a mistake. Are you going to, in this campaign, acknowledge that RomneyCare in Massachusetts was a mistake?
Well, it wasn't perfect. The nature of all experiments, as it was, is that you have things that worked well and things that didn't work well. And that's true of what we did in Massachusetts. But I'm also going to recognize that that's the nature of our free society and a constitutional society, which is federalist, which says, look, let states experiment, find out what works and what doesn't, take the things that are good and build on them.
Did the mandate work, Governor? Because that's the big sticky point. It's also the subject of the various court protests going on right now, which may overturn Obamacare. The mandate, was that your biggest mistake in Massachusetts?
One thing I learned is this, which is that you don't take ideas from a state and try and impose them on the whole nation. Our nation is too different, too diverse to say that what works in Massachusetts is somehow going to be grabbed by the federal government, usurping the power of states and imposing a one-size-fits-all plan on the nation. That will not work. And I'm very happy that the Democrats are celebrating the fact that we put in place a health care proposal in Massachusetts, an experiment. And I have one question for them. Why didn't any one of them or the president ever call me?
Hey, Mr. President, call me. Why would they need to call you? Anyway, by the way, the guy that one of the guys that they hired to come up with the health care plan for President Obama and the Democrats was the guy who put together Romney's plan in Massachusetts, Professor Gruber. I interviewed him on MSNBC. So why do they need to call you? They call the guy who put the plan together. Anyway, on to the main issues. This is a typical Romney excuse. No, my plan is awesome in Massachusetts, but it would suck elsewhere. Oh, I wouldn't want to do it. Even though it's the best possible plan in Massachusetts, I'll tell you, in Connecticut, it'd be a disaster. That argument makes no sense. He's just desperately trying to find a reason where he can disagree with the president, even though they have the identical plan. And, you know, they hate the mandate. But now it's a curious and weird thing because the mandate was originally a Republican idea. The only reason that the Republicans now hate the mandate is because President Obama is in favor of it. Originally, they were demanding that President Obama put a mandate in, and once he did, they were like, oh, no, we hate it now. You know who came up with the idea of the mandate originally? The Heritage Foundation. That's the largest conservative think tank in the country. In fact, one of the representatives of the Heritage Foundation was at the signing agreement when Mitt Romney signed that into effect in Massachusetts, and they were so proud, and they put out statements, aha, we got him, this was great, healthcare reform, and it had the mandate. Look, that bothers me on two levels. The hypocrisy of Mitt Romney, of course, and saying that President Obama's plan is bad, and the Republicans' hypocrisy in saying it was bad when it was the plan that they originally pushed for, right? The second level that it bothers me on is that President Obama and the Democrats are so proud that they adopted Mitt effing Romney's plan. Well, stop bragging about that. Now do you see why I was concerned about health care? That plan is basically a warmed-over Republican plan. And of course, what did the Republicans call it? They called it socialized medicine anyway, even though it was originally a Republican proposal. It's very similar to the proposal, maybe even a little right, of the proposal of George H.W. Bush back when he was president. Like when Obama declares victory, when he agrees to a center-right proposal, it drives me crazy. And when the rest of the country's like, oh, wonderful, mission accomplished, historic health care. No, it left the private insurance system exactly as it was, and it gave us a mandate that we have to buy from private insurance. The reason that they did that in Massachusetts initially is, yes, so that everybody pays into the system, but also so they can get the insurers on board going, hey, fantastic, I get more customers that are mandated. So I don't like Mitt Romney's plan. I don't like President Obama's plan. And I don't like that President Obama's bragging about it. And I don't like the hypocrisy of the Republicans pretending to hate Obama's plan when it was their plan in the first place.
Audible.com is the leading provider of audiobooks. They've got 75,000 different titles. A book I've always meant to read but didn't have time for is Guns, Germs, and Steel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to it through Audible.com. Actually, if you're a Young Turks listener, you get a free audiobook at audiblepodcast.com/TYT.